What is going on today, guys? I'm coming to you with a 2-for-1 build. We're going to be doing 2 builds that are going to use the most unlikely commander you might expect, and that's Tarkin. So let's go ahead and get started. One of the things that I think Tarkin has some real value now is since the Empire has the Simoon and they have the ability to add your fleet command, we're going to put Intensify Firepower on here, and we're gonna give them Tarkin right there on the Simoon, and basically this is here to give you some free damage mitigation. Since you don't have Vader, who is definitely my favorite commander in the game, Intensify Firepower is going to mitigate the loss of that while also giving you some flexibility. You don't always have to do Concentrate Fire tokens with Tarkin, but Tarkin's going to give you rerolls. He's going to give you all kinds of fun stuff. So, what else can we do? What other ships do we want? What are we going to do with Tarkin? So Tarkin's also nice to give you a little bit of everything. So we're going to have some squadron support in this build. We're going to add a Quasar. Quasar Fire 2 is always nice. We're going to now, and the funny thing is, I'm going to, I think it basically it benefits you to have red dice. Red dice are really good here for Intensify Firepower. Since you have the blacks, you can re-roll them. You can go for try and get that double hit. If you don't, you can at least mitigate it to a hit. So that much is nice. But I'm gonna go ahead and put Enhanced Armament here. I'm not doing gunnery teams, because I want to have multiple shots. You shoot side and front. That's fine. People don't usually let you have multiple shots in the front arc anyway. And that's kind of what I'm hoping for is just to get those multiple shots off. Even if your opponent does a good job of staying out of your front arc, your side shots, you're still going to be able to use Intensify Firepower. And we're trying to look at that, and we'll add XI7 as well, because why not? So we have that. We're going to go ahead and go with we're going to add we're going to go ahead and add a 7th Fleet Star Destroyer title as well to give us some. I'm not going with Tua. We're not going to add anything else, but we're going to give us some damage reduction coming from the front arc. So if they do stay on our front arc, we're going to shoot them and do a lot of damage. If they manage to get away from our front arcs, we have Enhanced Armament with Intensify Firepower. I think it just kind of seems more well-rounded here, rather than focused and doubling down with gunnery team and doubling down on the front arc. Now, contrary to that, on our Quasar Fire 2, I am going to give it gunnery team. The reason is, our front arc is really the only power arc we have, but it's not just about having multiple ships in the front arc. We also want to be able to attack squadrons out of the front arc. That's always a nice thing with that. So this way we can, gunnery team here is more or less to ensuring that we can use that squadron attack, as well as being able to attack a ship with the front arc, or just having that flexibility. Normally I like to outfit a Quasar Fire 2 really heavily, but I'm only going mildly, only a medium level of squadron support, so I'm going to actually go with flight controllers. I'm taking advantage of the double weapons team here without really adding a whole lot of other stuff. There's plenty more you could put on this ship to really make it a fearsome carrier, but I'm not doing a squadron heavy build. I'm just doing an intermediate squadron build here. So let's add some squadrons. We're only going to add a couple. I'm going to try and make it 5, though, because we could potentially give squadron tokens with Tarkin. And it's always a possibility, or at least take one early. And in case we do lose one squadron, we still are activating 4. So I want to start off with 2 cheap TIE fighters. TIE fighters are always cheap and always nice, right? We'll add a Lambda. Now, granted, I recognize it would be more efficient to have a 6th squadron. We get a better deployment activation that way. And if you want, if you wanted to drop something, you could maybe drop a Lambda for, for maybe some cheaper squadrons. You could do some things like that. Well, maybe not a Lambda, but you could swap out a couple of these things. I'm going to put out a Jump Master, so we have some intel. And the thing is, Lambdas are going to be interesting because they're not. I don't think they're as Relays nerfed a little bit, so it's not as super great as it used to be, but it's still good. And it'll still work here, but strategic is really the great thing here. And then I'm adding my favorite Imperial Squadron pilot, Valen Rudor, who tag teams really well with a Lambda, so it kind of redeems Lambdas a little bit. So Valen Rudor can effectively make that Lambda kind of into an escort, almost, if he stays close to the Lambda. And, you know, he's rolling 2 black against the squadron, plus the 1 blue from flight controllers if we happen to, you know, activate him that way. So it's always fun to be able to do stuff that way. Also, Valen Rudor will be rolling, you know, 3 black and a blue. So really cool that, you know, you got some good anti-squadron presence, plus, you know, you can harass some ships after the fact. But this is mostly an anti-squadron deterrent with the just ability to do some light ship harassment. So moderate squad build, not you know, no bombers in this build. We're just trying to make sure we're defended and versatile. We have some points left over, so we're going to add another Star Destroyer to allow the 7th Fleet Star Destroyer to function. So we're going to go ahead and add a Victory 2, and we'll give him disposable capacitors and our other 7th Fleet Star Destroyer title. Now again, this isn't as massively effective as a Victory could potentially be. Like I said, we could, you know, gunnery team is really good on a Victory 2, especially with disposable capacitors, but we have intensify firepower, so we can still, you know, we're not getting all those great Vader rerolls. There's a lot of extra stuff we could, in theory, put on here, but since we have 2 red out of the side, like the side arcs are pretty good on a Vic already. You know, and this gives us the freedom to do a concentrate fire command, you know, be able to still roll potentially 3 red dice out the side, and without having to worry about turning around as much, because we're probably going to be using Tarkin for concentrate fire commands a lot. So we're going to get some rerolls. We're going to get, you know, we're going to have some moderate level attack. The funny thing is here, I'm not using any small ships. And I usually like to use Imperial small ships, but I feel like this would be kind of a well-rounded list. But I'm not sure if this list would be, you know, like super strong. I think the best thing it's got going for it is that it's hard to kill. It's got some fairly tough ships, and you'd leave the Quasar kind of farther in the back. It's not a super strong, but it's moderately tough. This is definitely the weakest ship in the build, so we wouldn't want to put Tarkin on it. And it doesn't have the defense that 7th Fleet Star Destroyer has. But yeah, but these 2 are the ones that you're going to send farther forward. And even though the Victory is a little slow, you'd have some you know, you'd have some tough ships to kill. So hopefully you'd have the damage output to get that done. And I think intensify firepower with Tarkin will help you do that. And of course you can then turn around and start giving out engineering commands on turn 3 maybe with Tarkin. And be fine and not have to worry about it. You know, start giving out those engineering command tokens and start recovering shields at a higher rate. That, you know, Tarkin has that flexibility. So that's, I think, the idea here is being flexible. This list isn't necessarily for everybody, but here now we have the great opportunity to go with advanced gunnery, since we're not using gunnery teams. Advanced gunnery is definitely going to work here. Definitely going to work. We can put it anywhere we want. It'll obviously go on the Simoon, but in theory, could potentially go on the Vic if we really wanted it to. Just for the idea that, well, we don't want my opponent getting an extra die when they go after my Simoon. So, you know, you could, strategically, I could maybe see somebody putting it on a Vic just to mess with their opponent a little bit and force them to make a tough decision. Do you want to stop my objective ship, or do you want to stop my commander? So there's a little bit of that. Now for our yellows, we only have 3 ships, but we do have a couple of squadrons, so we would be okay with activation advantage. It would be a tough one though. But we do have, one thing that's nice is that we do have a Lambda, so I feel like we could be safe going with fire lanes at this point, since we've got a lot of front dice. We can send those Lambdas out there and start pulling those tokens back toward us. And then for our blues, you know, salvage run could work here. We can be pulling these things back, but we don't have enough ships, and I don't have enough Lambdas to make me feel really comfortable about this. And I like salvage run a little better if I have an interdictor. So one of the things, I mean, minefields, maybe minefields in theory could potentially work, but I still feel with the slower Vic 2, You know, and then wanting to keep the Quasar kind of in the rear, I still feel a lot more comfortable with one of these last two, Solar Corona or Superior Positions. And in this case, I think it would have to be Corona because we don't have anything to stop somebody from targeting our brace. So we're going to go with Solar Corona for the objective. Now, I did promise you guys 2 builds, so the second build is going to be pretty simple. So let's go ahead and do that. So this is this first build, kind of well rounded. Let's go back. Let's start it over again. Now the second build is going to be a little bit more straightforward and I think more fun. So we're going to start off with with a Simoon. We are going to also give it Intensify Firepower. It is going to be a Tarkin build, but we're not going to put Tarkin there. I'm going to force my opponent to have some tough choices. I'm going to put Tarkin on an Architens. And I'm going to give this Architens Turbo Laser Reroute Circuits. Now, this is a tough one because Turbo Laser Reroute Circuits is great on an Architens, but you've only got the one, so it's going to force you into some tough choices. But here's the thing is, every time I've run an Architens list without Vader, I've always regretted it. Because I like to run Concentrate Fire. I like to run Concentrate Fire a lot. So I'm rolling 4 red, and I usually run Enhanced Armament on at least some of the Architens in the list. So that's why I can roll 4 red automatically and maybe 5 red. Maybe up to 9 red if I get somebody, you know, left and right side. So that much is great, and I really, really like it. And having those rerolls from Vader means I'm always rolling lots of damage that way. The problem is when you don't run Vader, you're gonna, at some point you're gonna roll 5 red dice. You're gonna end up with, 1 damage showing, and a couple of blanks. Well, this is a list that's gonna give me a lot of mitigation for that. So. And I'm gonna copy this same Architens 4 more times. This is 400 points. Yes, I realize there's no squadrons here. I'm totally okay with that. Because, dude, I've got 5 ships, and they're all heavy hitters. These Architens are heavy hitters. All right, so the Simoon is actually potentially my weakest ship here. But my opponent's gonna think it's a very strong ship. They're gonna want to go after this Simoon. Or they're going to want to go after the Architens with Tarkin on it, and I'm just going to deploy Tarkin in the rear, in the kind of the middle, in the safest position. The Simoon is going to be able to roll 5 red, and probably doing a Concentrate Fire command, maybe doing nav commands, because I'll have Tarkin give out Concentrate Fire a couple of turns. Might have him do a nav or an engineering first turn just for good measure, but I'll probably have him do it, something like that. Simoon will go ahead and, roll 5 red dice at long range. He'll get to change 1. Okay, no problem. So he only gets a little bit of mitigation. But the Architens get a ton. First off, the Architens don't have to spend that Concentrate Fire token on Intensify Firepower. So they can spend the token to re-roll 1 of their 3 dice, or 4 dice, since we did a Concentrate Fire command. So 1 die they get to re-roll. 1 die they get to change to a hit. 1 guy they get to change to a double hit. So they're getting, effectively a minimum of 3 damage. And then they've got rerolls on top of that and an extra die from Concentrate Fire. So every Architens is going to be doing a ton of damage. This is just a fantastic thing. And the thing is, yes, you have the chance of maybe I spent my evade and now I have some return fire coming in and I need that evade. Well, you don't have to spend Turbo Laser Reroute Circuits. You save that to last after your reroll. Oh, if you still have a blank, after Intensify Firepower, if you still need it. And what times would you use it? You would use it if you had an even number of damage maybe and your opponent had a brace. So you want to get an odd number of damage to get 1 more through. You'd use it if your opponent's already shot and you're at no risk of getting return fire this turn. Times like that. So you'll make a good decision. This list boils down to accepting the risk that squadrons, a bomber-heavy list, could mess you up. But to do that, you're going to have to go even heavier after their ships and kill their fleet before their bombers can mess you up. Since you don't have to worry about the flotillas now, since you can ignore them completely and still table your opponent. It makes it so much easier for you to just make a hard effort towards eliminating your opponent's ships. And re-rollable, mitigating red dice at long range is definitely the way to do that. So these would have been the 2 lists. I'll put a link to Ryan Kingston's Fleet Builder up in the description below. Don't forget there's another round of the giveaway going on right now, so you can enter to win a $20 expansion of your choice in the form of a Cool Stuff gift card. So go ahead and make sure you are entered by becoming a subscriber and leaving a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.